Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of Manifesting Muslimah. I'm your host, Zara Pedersen, and in today's episode, I've actually got a really special episode for you today because I did an interview. I guested somebody's live on Instagram on Christmas Eve on the 24th Tuesday, and we had a wonderful conversation on this interview, on this live, and after we completed it, I was like, there was some good stuff coming up. I need to repurpose this one way or another. Like, I want to get the same stuff out there. So I asked permission to repurpose it, and that's what you're getting today, the full live as an episode. So the Instagram live that we did was on Wajiha Amin's page. Now, if you've been following me for some time, you'll have heard that name before because I keep pushing people over to her page constantly. I'm like, if you want a relationship and you don't know how to connect with people, if you this, that, and the other, you need to go talk to my girl Wajiha. This is what she does. She's a psychotherapist. I was like, get me the right words there. Psychotherapist. She's really good at her job. I've done her courses in the past, and I've learned so incredibly much from her. And now she does these Instagram lives. I'm going to link her in all the show notes, all that good stuff. Go check her out, follow her stuff, sign up to her courses. She does workshops and all of these things. But we had a wonderful conversation about relationships, about trusting Allah. When you make the dua, when things don't come out the way that you were hoping it would, if it takes a little bit longer, what to do to work on yourself, if you want to manifest a marriage, all of these things. Subhanallah, the conversation was just flowing, the energy was there, it was absolutely wonderful. So that's what you're going to get today. I hope you'll enjoy this episode as much as I enjoyed taking part in it and talking to my girl Wajiha Amin. Please share this interview, this podcast episode with as many people as you can, because again, as I said, like, once you've listened to it, the information and the value of information in this episode is absolutely next level. And go check out my girl's page, Wajiha Amin. Again, I'm going to link her everywhere in the show notes. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next episode, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes.
There we go. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Long time no see that beautiful face of yours.
I know. We're like, actually, it's the voice, isn't it, from Clubhouse days?
Yeah, you know what? Yes, that's like,
and obviously before then as well.
Yeah, but like COVID days almost, or like, was it 21? I can't even remember what year it was. I feel like probably 21, wasn't it?
Yeah, long. It's been a while, and it's such a pleasure to have you join me. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the live. You are not here in the UK, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm in Sicily.
Yay.
That's also probably why there's like connections. Like I live in like a stone. Like my house is like old cave style home, and it's amazing. I love it, but it really blocks connection sometimes and really messes with it. So khair inshallah. Hopefully it won't be too much of a issue this evening.
So Zara, me and you, we have known each other for years, and when we speak, we don't speak for a long time, but when we speak, it's like we haven't not spoken for ages.
I know, I love that.
I know. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of relationships, isn't it? But I want you to tell people about you and what you've been up to. You know, you dip in and out of my life in different places. I was on a retreat. Well, I was hosting a retreat with Ruji the Foodie, and someone attended, and she was there with her the Quran journal.
Yes,
and I was like, look at this, and I had to message you and say, Zara, look, this, we're even here on the retreat, we're connected in some way.
Alhamdulillah, our souls are going to stay connected, inshallah, in this dunya and then akhirah, inshallah. Honestly, it's amazing. Yeah, what am I doing? I'm doing everything and nothing. Like, well, no, not nothing, but everything at the same time. Currently, like, my big thing. So, oh, by the way, so my name is Zara. To anybody who's here that don't know me, hi, I'm Zara. Salaam alaikum. I'm currently living in Sicily, and I am a manifesting coach, law of attraction coach for Muslim women online. So I teach law of attraction, but from an Islamic perspective, which I personally think, or I have also noticed because of the feedback that I'm getting, of course, that there's a huge market for, because for a long time now, maybe 30 years nearly, or maybe not 30, probably, close to 30 years, 25 years probably, we've been fed this whole law of attraction, the secret, your mind is a tool, la 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 la, and you create your own reality. And Anum, you're so sweet. That's one of the members in my membership group. What a supporter. Thank you, my darling. One of the things that I think a lot of people struggle with, as somebody who is a believer, and especially as a Muslim, we are so very careful not to commit shirk, not to do something haram, and with something as powerful coming out and becoming mainstream like law of attraction, I think it is really important that we understand what aspects of it that are applicable to us and what things we should leave and turn away. And I think, as somebody who's had such a huge interest in law of attraction from before I reverted back to Islam, was I always wanted to understand it. I always wanted to know, how does this work? And it wasn't until I reverted back to Islam that the law of attraction started making sense, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was the missing link for me as the creator, not me, not the universe, not the archangels, not Bigfoot, not the aliens. It was literally like a wow, come to Allah moment. It made so much sense. Everything in a moment made sense. And I started understanding what the law of attraction actually is by reading the Quran, by studying Islam, by finding the examples that are already in the Quran and in the Hadiths. But nobody's really taken the time to be like, oh, I see that you're interested in law of attraction. Did you know we actually have something similar or better, even in fact, than what the mainstream are teaching? But from Quran, from the Hadith, from the Sunnah. And I was like, I need to put that out there because I'm not seeing anybody else speak about it.
But also, I think it's important to recognize is that when you don't understand something, then it becomes very much like, oh, don't go there.
Yes.
You can't go there.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important for us as Muslims as well to educate ourselves between what we don't understand, the grey, and get really clear on it. Because I was speaking to someone today and they were saying about dua. I was making dua, and the dua that they were making, it was in a way to soothe their pain, but they didn't realize that actually the impact that dua would have long term for a short term, for that short term gain.
Yes,
and I think
exactly. And I think that's another thing that I feel like there's such a lack in Muslim communities and within scholars and learned people of bringing like I'm not I'm not the kind of person who's like, I want to modernize Islam or anything like that. Astaghfirullah. Who can modernize anything? It's already there. Like, Islam doesn't need modernization. It works in every aspect. But the problem is that the human mindset tends to get stuck in one thing, and it doesn't evolve as beautifully and as easily as Islam does. Do you know what I mean? Because Islam really just goes in and it just adapts to anything. We as humans don't. And so when we're seeing as humans that we're entering new eras and new aspects of living and being, where other things become relevant, and we're making different types of du'as than we did even 50 years ago. It's difficult sometimes, I suppose, as well, for scholars to keep up, but it's so important to keep up, because sometimes now, I'll get questions of like, can I make the same du'a twice? Is Allah listening to me? And it's like, yes, you can, but nobody's saying these things. Nobody is breaking it down anymore to the level that where we can meet each other and have these conversations. Like, but remember how powerful the dua is at the same time. Remember what it will feed into in the future. Remember what you're actually asking for. Understand the niyyah, understand the intention of the dua. Understand your role after you've said a dua. We all love for Allah to serve everything up for us on a silver platter, but astaghfirullah, He's not our servant, we are His servant, right? So we're here to prove a point to Him, not the other way around. So we also have a massive role to play after we've made dua. And so there are so many aspects that I feel like are not necessarily spoken of so easily anymore. I can also understand that it can be difficult because we're evolving so quickly, and with social media, there's so much information, hitting us at any moment in time. Subhanallah, but it really also opens up the avenue for all of us to take an active interest in our religion and really learn for ourselves, what does Islam mean to me? How do I practice Islam? How does it make sense for me? How do I connect back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How can I take what I see in society and make sure that I'm doing things that are not going to go against my belief, my ethics, my morals, but doing it in a way that feels good to me while actively participating in society in this dunya, but not in a way that's messing up my akhirah.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of coming back to, the power of dua. Oftentimes what I find when I'm working with my clients is that they limit their dua because they think that they lose the sight that actually anything is possible in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hands, and we should be asking for the impossible, right?
Yes. Say to people, be unreasonable, be ludicrous in your dua, be delulu,
Radical.
don't be delusional, be delulu, be the cute kind of delusional. Be delulu, because you're literally asking the creator of entire universes, of every single cell in your body that makes you, of things that we don't even see, that we're still discovering about the planet. They recently discovered that, and I thought this was amazing. I'm digressing here a little bit, just as an example, how a house plant, like a plant that you have in your home that you might have planted or taken care of, can feel when you're on your way home, like that. A plant that we usually don't even think that much about has these kind of I can feel that the person that's taking care of me, it's like up to 2 kilometers or something like that. They can sense when you're close to them. And subhanallah, and a creator that can create such beautiful magic in the world. And then we're sitting there thinking, he doesn't want me to have a little bit more money, to have a beautiful marriage. He can't give me a nice friend circle. He can't give me the life that I dream of. So I'm not going to ask.
That's the thing, isn't it? So I often hear my clients say, "Oh, the dua that I made was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if marriage is good for me, then make it happen for me. If I'm supposed to get married, then make it happen for me." And I was like, you're limiting yourself. You're limiting yourself, right? So it comes back. Yeah.
You're limited, but Allah is limitless. And you're tapping to the limitless and abundant power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is your direct phone call connection, one-to-one time with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you are limiting what He can give you.
Yeah.
Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah. Imagine standing face to face with Allah on Judgment Day and saying, I don't believe you can give it to me. We wouldn't dare. But that's what we're doing in the dua.
Yeah, but you know what it is? People become so disillusioned and they think that they can't have the thing that they want. For me, it's going to be, my clients that I work with singles and I work with couples, and so it's almost like a safety net, a cushion, that if they limit what they ask for, if they don't get it, it's not going to hurt as much.
Exactly. Yeah. We feel, there's that saying, and I love to say, better the devil we know than the one we don't, because I know how to deal with this pain. I know this pain of being single, of not having the life I want, of living paycheck to paycheck, all of these things. I know how this feels. I can deal with this kind of hurt and pain. But if I try and I fail, I don't know how to deal with that pain. So I'd rather just not go there, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the way we also see with the dua. What if Allah doesn't give it to me? Then it'll hurt me more, right? And the truth is there has to be an element of tawakkul and faith and trust in Allah's ability to give to us beyond our own ability to even comprehend how it can come into our lives.
Yeah.
And if we keep looking at this dua as a how can it happen, we're limiting it. And then we're looking at, but it's impossible. If nothing is impossible for the creator of the entire cosmos, but you have to get out of that way and say, when I make a dua, I'm taking myself out of the equation. I will handle what I can, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who facilitates.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so talk to this then, because again, this is something that comes up a lot, is that I have been asking this dua for 10 years.
I get it so much.
And I'm still not married.
Yes, yeah. Oh my gosh. First of all, I get it. I fully get it. I've had du'as that have taken years and some of them are still not coming. I use this as an example. When I was a child, I wanted to be a veterinarian. And
I can see you. I can see you doing that.
I would pray to God and be like, oh my God, I want to be a veterinarian. I can't imagine. And I really wanted this. And then as I grew up, I was like, oh, that takes a lot of schooling and whatever. And I didn't have it in me to go through all that. So I never gone that way. Now, I'm going to be 38, inshallah, next month. And I was making these du'as, 30 years ago, nearly 30 years ago at this point, right? Allah never forgets a dua, but He will introduce the blessing, the answer, the solution when you are ready for it. SubhanAllah, when I came to Sicily earlier this year, over the summer, I was offered a job completely out of nowhere. A seemingly impossible opportunity came my way where I can work in a veterinarian clinic here as an assistant. And now I work in a veterinary clinic. I'm not a doctor still or anything, but I'm an assistant. I still get to work with the animals. And this was a dua I made nearly 30 years ago. Allah never forgets. So that's the first thing we have to remember. We forget, because trust and believe, I forgot about these du'as because, life gets in the way. And I'm like, I want other things, but Allah doesn't forget a dua. So that's the first thing, and we have to come to terms with that. The second thing is we have to understand that when we make a dua and we're genuinely sitting down with correct niyyah and we want the blessing and the dua to be answered in a way that is most beneficial for us, which is what we want, especially when it comes to something like marriage. We don't want a marriage for marriage's sake. We want the right marriage. We want the right partner. We want the right dynamic. We want a healthy relationship, nice communications, a beautiful sex life. We want the whole package. We're not negotiating here.
Yeah.
I want the marriage that I want to take with me to heaven one day. Do you know what I mean? And what we're then doing when we're making the dua is we're saying this to Allah. We know this deep in ourselves, and then we're forgetting that Allah knows when the right time is for that marriage to be introduced to us. Allah knows, I want to give you all of that, but you're not ready yet. Or your partner is not ready yet. Or it's not the right time for the two of you to meet, because if you met now, you would reject each other. Or you haven't healed your traumas, so you would argue and divorce. I want to introduce you when the time is right. We have to trust in Allah's divine timing. He knows and sees things that we cannot even comprehend. So while we think we're ready, if Allah hasn't introduced it yet, it is because it is not time. And while sometimes it can be painful and lonely when we've made a dua and we're like, but Allah, why hasn't it come? It's been years now. Trust that Allah will only give you what is best for you. So if He is withholding it, it is for a reason. I like to say Allah doesn't punish us in this dunya. That is what the akhirah is for. If you need punishment, that'll come in the akhirah. He doesn't need to introduce punishment into life now. That was in the times of the prophets to set examples. He doesn't do that in our times because there is no prophets living in our time. So anything where you think maybe Allah is punishing me, no. He is asking you to be patient. He might be teaching you lessons so you can grow, so you can become a better partner, a better wife, a better mother, a
better daughter-in-law, sister-in-law, whatever it might be. And every time you're rejecting it or pushing it back, you're actually not accepting what Allah is putting in front of you. And by doing that, you could be rejecting the ultimate blessing that Allah is preparing for you, because you're not preparing yourself for it. That was a long answer. I'm sorry.
No, that was a beautiful answer. I think people need to hear that. And I think because we are human, because we are mere mortals, we fall into the trap of uncertainty. We fall into the trap of I want it now. The desperation. And something that I say to my clients is,
put us outside of our own ego and our own understanding. That's
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I often say to my clients, whilst you're in the waiting period, live your best life, because you have opportunities that you perhaps would not have if you were married.
Exactly. Because I say to people, practice the gratitude of being single, but what can I do? You can enjoy your life. You can travel when you want to. You can move when you want to. You can change your situation at any given moment without asking permission, without asking for another person to, you don't have to justify any of your decisions. You have the time to spend on yourself. You can spend all your money on yourself however you want to, whatever. There are so many beautiful things around being single and growing as an independent person, and getting to know yourself as an independent person before entering a partnership. As somebody who was married and is now divorced, and who kind of rushed myself through getting married and everything, I now, hindsight is 20/20, right? I look back and I honestly see how much I still lacked in my individuality as a single person before I could enter a partnership where I could also be a good partner. Yeah. It takes the two of us.
Absolutely. It does. It takes both of you to come together. And I think I was actually speaking to a client today, and I was saying, look, actually what you're doing is you need two people in this. You need two people who say, I am ready to take a leap of faith with you.
Yeah.
Whatever the lesson comes, whether you're meant to be with each other for 6 months, 6 years, 60 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That leap of faith you're going to take together, and whatever the learning that comes from that process, because sometimes we get grappled in life is happening to me.
Around, and I'm not a part of it. I'm just kind of going with the motion, but I'm not living, I'm not an active participant. Yeah,
that's the thing, isn't it? Being the active participant.
And the thing is, the only one that's removing you from being an active participant is yourself. Because you have set a parameter that says, I cannot be an active participant until I am married, or until I am rich, or until I live in this place. And in reality, Allah is saying, well, the time hasn't stopped. I mean, your time is still coming. You're still going to be accountable for this wasted space, where you're just kind of going through the motions.
Yeah.
Allah is still watching. He's still judging.
Yeah.
So how are you going to, you need to be a part of that. It's not Allah stopping you. It's yourself stopping you from saying, well, clearly Allah has placed me in this position. So how can I make the best of it? And how can I please Allah to the best of my ability, even if this situation is not something that I would deem in my higher ego, higher nafs, whatever, as the ideal situation for me.
Yeah, but then this ideal situation. I think we get so sucked into what ideal is by seeing other people's, because I think people forget that we only see snippets of people's lives. We don't actually see 180 degrees, 360 degrees, of life, and the tests and tribulations that people are going through.
Yes.
And I think we get so drawn into a certain type of happiness. I'll be happy when.
Yeah. And of course, it makes sense, because that is what society is giving us right now. It's literally feeding us. Happiness is when your laptop and your iPhone are synced, and your iPad and Kindle and your TV, and your Tesla and whatever else, the new robot that apparently is going to like kill us all or whatever, and and then you have to always have matching clothes, and it has to be branded, and you have to have PR and a huge following, and you have so every happiness is what's there's a word like where it has to it's oh my god, as in like I can only be happy when
Yes.
so I can't
Yeah.
find happiness in myself. My happiness is dependent on something else. There has to be something else to make me happy. I can't find happiness in myself, and that honestly, and I'm sorry if I'm gonna trigger some people or if I'm gonna step on some people's toes, but it needs to be said. That is the mindset of the kuffar. That is the mindset of a non-believer, because a true believer knows that happiness is with Allah and Allah alone. Anytime Allah is not in the equation, you are doomed. Then happiness is the next big thrill, the next big thrill, the next big thrill, when in reality, for a believer, coming to prayer, when Allah calls you to prayer in the middle of the night, when you go to sleep knowing you've prayed 5 times a day, during Ramadan, when you're part of a community, even when you're living on your own and you're fasting, knowing you can feel that energy of the ummah fasting together, that right there is happiness. And you don't have to have anything around you to achieve any of that happiness. All of that comes from within yourself. But the kuffar wants you to believe that it comes from everywhere else.
Yeah.
And they will sell you on that. And they're very good at it. They're very, very clever at doing it.
Yeah. All the materialistic sort of stance points that if you haven't got this or you haven't got that, then you're not. There's that sense of proof of success, isn't it? It comes through it comes through the materialistic.
Yes.
We had a question that came in. And I wasn't sure whether it was the right question for our life, but I think we should go with it. You can share your thoughts on it. I can share my thoughts on it. And the question was, how long do you give after a breakup before you go back out there to search for a partner?
It's so I love the question, but I love the question, but at the same time, I have to also kind of throw a little spanner in there in ways, because it's again that whole thing where we are dependent on time, not on am I ready. So we're saying, should I be waiting 6 months, 2 months? It has nothing to do with the time and everything to do with yourself and your energy. And that can take 2 months, it can take 2 years, it can take 20 years. And so it while I understand the question, I really think it depends on the person, and it depends on how long you were with the other person, how you kind of left each other, your situation, your mental situation, stability, finances, all of those things. And I think one thing that I learned from my personal divorce was how important it is for me to set up independently, so that and I've been independent before, but during my marriage, because I was kind of stuck in old school ways, I was so willing to give my ex-husband a lot of that control, financial and otherwise, and it kind of screwed me over in the end, right? As the woman here. So learn from me, take a page out of my book, don't do what I did. But for instance, I had to learn, in order for me to go into another relationship again, it's not a question of time, it's a question of being in a place where I have my own stuff, and even though we're married, I can still leave with my own stuff should anything happen, and I have my foundation, so I'm not jumping on another person's foundation, because when they leave, they take their foundation with them, and then I have to rebuild. So that was my lesson, and that's going to take time, because even though now I'm oh, it's been a couple of years now since my divorce, it's been 2 years now actually this month, alhamdulillah. But it's been 2 years, and while alhamdulillah in my mindset and everything, I feel great and the best I've ever felt. And I can look at guys and be oh, am I ready now? Am I ready to date? I also know that while I'm mentally thinking, oh, it would be nice to have someone, I still know that there's a little bit of way still for me to go, because I'm still building my foundation again. So it's not a time sensitive thing. It is a very personal knowing of yourself and understanding what you need to accomplish before stepping into that next relationship. So you're not bringing in the crap that you brought into the first relationship into the second one again.
Oh.
You want to rewrite history.
Oh, you've said that beautifully. You've said that beautifully, Zara, and thank you for sharing your own personal experiences.
Honey, I have
experience as well.
you know this.
You know, it's interesting that you say about foundations, and I think that we have to recognize that the difference between independence and interdependence, and being a couple and being single and being married, requires different skills, a different skill set, but also, you know, when you're healing from a relationship, it's a broken relationship, it's important to remember that we heal in relationships and we hurt in relationships as well.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Very much.
So it's being able to navigate that, and that aligns to another question that I often get asked, which is, when I meet the person, how will I know, and how long should I get to know someone? And it comes back to how long's a piece of string, and what are you doing in the background to, you know, in your mind, to feel certain. Because there's going to be a lot of uncertainty that comes with.
100%. I love this question because my personal belief on this, again, there is no time. I can't put the time thing on it. I'm very much remove time from the equation in most things. Remove time from the equation, because everything that is meant to be will happen in Allah's divine timing. And I have no overview. No one has any knowledge or understanding of Allah's timing, and so it's fruitless and for us to put so much energy into time, unless it's literally like, hey, do you want to meet at 5 o'clock? Do you know what I mean? But everything else, you know, try and remove this deadline and that time set from your mind. But what I will say is, if in general questioning about these things and what to do, and am I making the right decisions, invest in your relationship with Allah first. Invest in your relationship, strengthen that relationship to the point that you are so secure in your relationship with Allah and where you stand with Allah that you have so much tawakkul that you know and understand that if I take a leap of faith, and if it is not the correct move, Allah will guide me away from it. And if it is the correct move, He will push me closer to it. And so you can make decisions not based off what will society tell me, how many weeks has it been, what did my mum say, did my father like him, what does his bank account have, or like, it's not, there's none of this. It is a literal question of my intuition, which, by the way, I believe Allah has given us, or it has given us. Allah's given us everything, but it's like our personal little connection with Allah, where Allah guides us. And when we have a great relationship with Allah, our intuition is more sharpened because we spend time listening to the source of everything in the universe. And so when we're making decisions, we can tap into that. And then we can make decisions from a place that feels more aligned with what we want and who we are and what will benefit us. And even in moments of hesitation and doubt, we can take, as I said, that leap of faith, which is required of us in this dunya, because we have limited knowing and understanding in this dunya, probably also in akhirah, who knows, none of us know yet, to the point where I'm not sure, but it feels good, so I'm going to take the leap of faith. And the whole way through, I'm going to be facing Allah every single day and say, catch me if I fall.
Oh my gosh, you've taken the words out of my mouth, because that's exactly what I was thinking in the whole time that you were speaking, is having that. Just having that sort of like quiet understanding, tawakkul, whatever you want to call it, that whatever happens, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will catch you.
Always. As long as you make sure you turn your face towards Allah. As long as you recognize and understand that the only one who can give you success with whatever you choose in this life and in the next, it only happens by the will of Allah. And so if you're scared of a decision, make sure that every step you take in that decision, you turn towards Allah and say, if it is not meant for me, turn me away from it, or turn it away from me. And here's the kicker, and this is where a lot of people struggle, because this part was the easy part, believe it or not. The difficult part is full surrender.
Yeah.
Full surrender. Let go of the outcome. You have to let go of the outcome, because when you turn your face to Allah and you say, give it to me if it's good for me, or turn it away if it's not for me, Allah will follow through. You're going to know this. If you make a dua, Allah will follow through. You, on the other hand, you're the one who's going to question everything. You're the one who's going to get emotionally attached. You're the one who's going to put your pride and everything on it, and social status and all sorts of stuff on top of that, right? You're going to put all these appendages on it. And then it's difficult for you if then Allah says, but it's not for you, so I'm actually going to turn it away. And you're like, oh, no, I've already said it on my Instagram. I've already told the family in the homeland. I've already, and now all of a sudden it's a pride and ego thing. And because of this, because we're so attached with a lower part of our nafs, we can't surrender it back, and so we start fighting with Allah for it. I call it tug of war with Allah. Of course, we're losing, but we try to hold on. We dig our heels in the ground, and we say, no, but I want it to be, because now I've said it. And Allah's like, you asked me to remove it from you if it wasn't for you, and now I'm removing it. I'm following through, because I will not break a promise, even though you will, even to yourself. I'm removing it, and you're digging in your heels, and you're literally running towards something that is no longer good for you. And that right there is the real struggle for most people, is to recognize and accept when Allah has spoken, girl, it's time to shut up and follow his orders. Khalas.
because there's something better, there's something better coming,
Yes.
I always say, something that I say to my clients is that, whenever you find yourself in a situation that you're not happy with, that is deeply painful, your heart is hurting, you're crying the tears, you've got to ask yourself, in that moment or a week, however, whenever you're ready to ask yourself those questions, is what was the lesson in this for me? What was the learning in this for me? And how can I use that to empower me? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
Because otherwise we keep going from one experience to another experience to another experience, in the name of wanting to find someone to get married, and not taking stock of what is the last time, what's the message here, or what am I being shown here?
It's you're the common denominator in your life.
Yes.
And if you, as the common denominator, keep finding men who are not committing, it's not the man's problem, it's your problem. You have an issue, and you need to figure out what that is, because until you figure it out, you're going to keep attracting the same situation over and over again. And that's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and again and expecting a different result. And most people are stuck there because they know this again, and so they keep doing it.
But it sounds, I think when people hear it, like, especially when it comes from a coach, or, that, the reason why you keep attracting the same kind of person is because it's you. And people kind of like think, oh, that's so woohoo. And so, like, give me something a little bit more substantial. Give me something a little bit more substantial than that.
I will give you something more substantial from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in a hadith, the Prophet said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that Allah is to the believer what the believer thinks of him.
Yes.
That right there is, you get what you put out. So you cannot tell me that there isn't substantial evidence for you attract what you are. If Allah says, I will be towards you the way that you think of me, what makes you think that this world doesn't work in the same way? That you are the literal magnet of your experience, even with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's another thing. So when we're entering our dua and we're saying to Allah, I don't trust you're going to give it to me, why should Allah follow through on that? He's going to say, but you don't trust that I'm going to give it to you, so I'm not going to give it to you.
Yeah. And sometimes it's so subtle, especially mindset, working with mindset, working with the power of our mind, our unconscious, our subconscious. Even though we don't say it, like, I'll be really blunt. Even though we don't say, well, I don't believe Allah's going to give it to me. Yeah. We're not saying it. but our being is actually saying, I'm going to limit my dua.
Yeah, our actions, not like, so we can still, and this is the thing where I say, we can make the dua, and then people stop at the dua because they expect Allah to serve it up on a platinum platter, of course, for us. And in reality, Allah says, okay, I will introduce the opportunity, but you're still the one who has to go and get it. So I will put the money in front of you, but you still have the one who has to reach down and pick it up, right? And take it home and put it in the bank or in the oven or the mattress or wherever you hide your money, And so the action is, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to say to Allah, why is life so miserable? I'm lonely. I want to get married. And then we don't do anything to meet people. We don't go out. We don't tell anybody about it. We don't work on ourselves, get therapy to work on our relationship issues, traumas. We don't take pride in the way we look, even like the way we carry ourselves. The pride in like putting on maybe makeup, if that makes you feel confident and sexy and beautiful as a woman. Any of those things, we don't take stock of, is there space for a man to come into my life? Even in the physical realm of things, of like, if I was to meet a man right now and he came into my home, is my home going to be one that signals I am ready to also, merge my life with another person? It's everything. And so it's the dua and then the follow through.
Oh, Zara, I hope we don't lose you. You're cutting out a little bit. You're a little bit there. You're right. Don't touch anything. You're fine. That also is something that, when I work with my clients, I find is that people say they want something, but they don't make time for it. I'm too busy.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So, in terms of, actually, what I want, there's a. You're gone again. Are you back again? You're back. Okay. There's a question. There's a simple question that says, "What if you're a single parent?" I say that's a blessing.
Yes.
You've got to see it as a blessing, nothing less than that.
Yes. And also because we have to remember that Allah allowed it to happen. Allah allowed it to happen. Nothing happens by chance in this dunya unless given permission by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if Allah decided that you need to be a single parent for a while, there's a reason for it. Then there's a reason for it, so that maybe you have to teach your child something specific or children something specific on your own. Maybe it's because if you had stayed together in a relationship, it would have destroyed the children in ways that you can't even fathom. Say Alhamdulillah. Even when something is perceived in our perception in this dunya as something bad, Allah allowed it and facilitated it to happen, so there is a blessing in there. But sometimes we have to find it. Sometimes it's not obvious because we have to look past our perception.
Exactly. Someone's asking, can we ask questions? Yes, you can ask questions. I love this one. You're going to laugh, Zara. You're going to enjoy this as much as me. And are you still with me?
I'm just going to move this way a little bit because my connection's a little... Sorry. There we go. I've got the light behind me, but you know what? You're going to have to do without my face as much, but as long as the video doesn't cut out.
Yeah, no, we've got you, Zara. And I was just going to share a comment with you that I think that you would appreciate as much as the person that shared it, and it's having a double bed to myself is a gift.
I know. Again, it's finding the little things, because I shared my double bed with my ex-husband, and let me tell you, when he wasn't in bed, it was kind of nice being able to roll around.
Sleep diagonally. Yeah. Someone said, I spend time supporting people, and that fills me with my life with gratitude. Absolutely.
That's
you
a
know.
wonderful thing. Wonderful
So,
thing.
Zara, tell us about your book.
Oh, which one?
You said to me that you've got a new book
Oh, yes.
coming, or
Okay, yes. So basically, because I was like, oh, which one? Because I literally just came out with my novel in English on Amazon, but the other one. Okay, so again, coming back to this whole concept of law of attraction from an Islamic perspective, I thought it was really important to put out something more concrete that people can just kind of like easy access to what it means, what makes law of attraction, mainstream law of attraction, different from law of attraction from an Islamic perspective, and how to practice something like law of attraction, but from this perspective of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator, not us. We're not even co-creators. We're literally just servants in this dunya. And so I wrote the book Manifesting Muslimah, and it's a guide to people if they want to learn how to use law of attraction from an Islamic perspective. It is linked in my bio. I think it's 12 or 13 pounds on Amazon, and you can get it like in print, like there's the print on demand, or you can get like the ebook version and stuff like that, or for the Kindle and the e-readers and all that good stuff. But it literally is a step-by-step guide on what is law of attraction from an Islamic perspective. Now all the animals have decided to come and sit here. I have my whole zoo, you know how it is. What it is, how to start using it, what are the different steps that you need to get used to, and then there are some practical tips so that if you're like questioning, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do first, I actually break that down as well in the book. So I'll give you like steps that you can start doing from that moment, so you can start getting into that journey of using law of attraction from an Islamic perspective, inshallah.
Oh, brilliant. So go, if you're not following Zara already, please go and follow her. Honestly, I'm not just saying it, she's amazing. The energy that you have is just so welcoming and so compassionate and so loving, and people do like get hold of that book. But Zara, before we bring the session to an end, is there a dua, or is there a way of people really manifesting a future with a partner, a husband or a wife, in a healthy, respectful, loving partnership?
So in terms of like a dua, or
yeah, something that you would say to people that they should like really think about how they're calling it in from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Yes. I always say, like, because, and I know a lot of people, like, if they haven't heard about me or any of my content before, you cannot manifest another person. That goes against the other person's free will. We all have the right to make the decision for ourselves. So we can't say, I want to manifest a specific person. And I know that sucks, because I know a lot of girls will be like, but I really want this guy. You can't do that. He has to choose you. But what you can do and what you should do is ask Allah to give clarity around yourself, to grow as a person, to make you a good partner in the future and a good wife in the future. So give, in the du'as, make it easier for me to become more patient, so I can be patient with my future children. Give me the lessons that I need to learn so that I can enter a relationship in a healthy way. Focus on your own growth instead of the other person. So it's really about internalizing rather than externalizing. Don't focus on the man. Allah will take care of that. What you have to do is make sure that you're ready. Prepare yourself.
Oh, this is a dua that I often say to my clients, and it is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make me ready to receive the person that you have chosen for me, and help me recognize the person you have chosen for me.
Yes, exactly.
Because sometimes, sometimes we're like praying for a guy who has a six-figure salary and a Porsche, right?
Yeah.
And that's not the right person for you.
No. And that's again the whole thing. And what we need to stop doing is we need to stop putting the focus on what's going on outside of ourselves and put the focus instead where it actually matters, on the things that we are in control of, which is ourselves. So if we're asking Allah for growth and patience and qualities that make us good partners and wives and mothers in the future, then Allah will make sure that the lessons that you're entering from there on in will be adapted so that you can learn those things, so that when the partner comes, when the man comes into your life, you're ready, you'll recognize it, and the man will recognize it as well. And it'll make you, it'll be easier for you as well, also to sort of like rest in that assuredness of your own worth and value rather than only the worth and value of the other person. And that is like, for me, that's like a hugely powerful thing that we don't teach, especially young women, Muslim women.
And you know, the topic of self-worth comes up over and over and over again, and it's not something that we're encouraged to really check or pay attention to. Is our self-worth, is our self-esteem, because that's why it's called self. It's something that we are responsible for, something that we need to nurture, something that we need to take care of, and not be reliant on the label of I'm a Mrs.
Yes, yeah. And my husband does this. My husband says this. My husband wears that. This is where my husband lives. Where are you in the equation? You do recognize that your husband is not going to drag you to heaven or to hell. You have to do that for yourself. You know, you're a person on your own, in your own right and in your own merit. So make sure you make it worth something. You know, make it mean something. Because Allah gave you this chance to make Allah proud. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And make the people, you know, make yourself proud of you too.
Yes.
You know, and the people around you as well. Final thoughts, Zara, and like final thoughts that you'd like to share with people listening in.
The final thoughts really is just, again, focus on building a strong connection with Allah. Personal, intimate connection and relationship with Allah. Strengthen that, because everything from that point is only going to grow. Your whole life is going to be, subhanallah, the world opens up to you in ways that you can never even imagine, because you have Allah with you and Allah is your anchor. But without that relationship, you're going to struggle. So I would really say, really take the time to build up that connection with Allah. Talk to Allah more, or seek out Allah. Even in dua, because I get a lot of people like, how do I do it? After you've made your salah, or whenever you want. You don't have to wait till after you've made a salah. You can do it right now. You know, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, as-salatu was-salam ala habibina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi jami'in. Ya Allah, please, I want to be friends with you. I want to have this relationship with you. I want to be close with you. Make this happen for me. Guide me towards you. That's all. That's all. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be beautiful words. It doesn't have to be in English, in Arabic, in Kurdish. It can be in anything you want. But just say what you feel to Allah and trust and believe that Allah will answer. And He will say, thank you. I want to be close to you as well. This is why I gave you Islam. And He will do everything to make sure that you will continuously come back to Him.
And with that, how do people get in touch with you? How did, you know, like you've got your novels, but you've also got the Quran Journal. You've also got the book that you just spoke about. How can people reach you? How can people? So you said Amazon. Can they get on your website?
Yeah. The easiest thing actually is here on Insta. If you want to like get in touch, if you've got questions or something, because again, like I've got different services and stuff, send me a message here on Instagram. That's the easiest, because I actually hate texting. I'm a voice message kind of girl. So it's easier for me to respond back to those messages. Otherwise, if you're interested in any of the books, the Quran Journal or anything like that, check the link in my bio. Everything is literally listed there. Have a little look around. Get yourself a nice Christmas present. You know, it is only Sidna Isa's fake birthday once a year. We must celebrate this fake birthday to the best of our ability. So if you need to give yourself something special, maybe one of my books or the Quran Journal or something to that effect would be the right gift for you. Otherwise, follow along in the community. You know, join the community if you're a sister, no matter where you are in the world. I have a membership program that is literally £10 a month. It could not be cheaper. I'm practically giving it away for free. One of my members actually said to me once, we meet twice a week live on Zoom, women only. We are international, from Australia to Canada to South Africa. SubhanAllah, we are absolutely everywhere in the world. And we are having a community where we meet and talk Islam and self-development and just, you know, the bettering of this dunya for the best in akhirah, inshallah. And all women are welcome to join that community, of course, as well as if you want to as well.
You've got a comment saying that I love Manifesting Muslimah book, fully read. So there you go. You've got an endorsement there. Yeah, no. So we should have another chat.
Absolutely. Darling, would you have? I'm always 110, 120, 150, every 1,000% ready. Always for you. You know this. I was actually thinking about this the other day. You do know we've been in each other's lives for 10 years.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how my time flies.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
thinking about it the other day.
Yeah. Let's not go down memory lane. That's a conversation for you and I.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
private. we can do that. But you know what? I hope that the people who are listening and people who listen to the recording take away. You know that. I think the one thing that I want to share. Off the back of what you said, is that like you said that. Allah says that I am as my believer thinks I am.
Yes, absolutely.
And
it is so powerful, and the more you can remind yourself of that, and be in that, keep coming back to that, and then strengthen that relationship with Allah. Wonderful.
And, inshallah, let's speak again soon. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you everyone for joining us, and inshallah we'll see everyone again soon.
Inshallah.
Take care. Walaikum salam. Allah Hafiz.